choosing joy. As death stalks him, Aaron Jamison isn't wasting time on anger. By Serena Markstrom. The Register Guard. Published, Sunday, September 25, 2011, 5 a.m. Hospice nurse Rachel Miller checks Aaron Jamison during a recent visit to his home in Springfield. Here, near the end, unable to walk for long periods or even know when he'll feel like doing something as simple as catching a movie, Aaron Jamison spends most of his time in his hospice-issued, in-home adjustable deathbed. The one with skull and crossbone pattern sheets. His most frequent companions are his wife, Kristen Jamison, their dog, Gull, his respite caretaker and best friend, Tim O'Donnell, and the hospice nurses. Aaron Jamison has been dying for a lot longer than expected, and the visits and social invites from others have trickled. "We are in bonus time right now," he says. From the time doctors found the colon cancer, the lifelong performer has been making jokes about his terminal condition. It still makes some people uncomfortable, Jamison says, but to him the choices are anger or humor. But he doesn't want to waste time on the anger, so he's focused on spreading awareness of the concept of choosing joy. What's a non-Christian word for ministry? Aaron wonders aloud. That's what this is. Jamison and his wife of 5 years have ordered 5,500 Choose Joy bracelets, and given most of them away for free. Despite not being able to pay all their bills, now that neither of them can work, she developed an anxiety disorder during his illness, and is in the process of applying for disability, and he is on disability. Jamison, who is also a graphic designer, has produced a number of cancer-themed t-shirts too, including one with a rainbow and the words "Cancer Sucks" on the front. He wore it in 2009, when he won the Eugene Laugh-Off comedy competition with a set heavy on cancer jokes. Inspiration for the bracelets came when Jamison was in chemotherapy and noticed none of the fellow chemo patients looked happy. "I was going to have to find a way to make some of those people smile," says Jamison, who has a background in improvisational and stand-up comedy. "My goal was just to make people realize they had a choice." Jamison's march toward death has been a bit of public theater, playing out on social media sites, his blog, in front of comedy audiences and his church family, not to mention attracting media attention from around the world, including the popular news site Gawker.com. He is a Christian, as are many of his 1,000-plus Facebook friends. And the comments often refer to praying for him. Tuesday, for the first time, he asked his friends on the social networking site to pray that, if God is not going to heal him, then he should take him home. At its peak, Jamison's blog attracted about 2,000 readers a month, but that has gone down as his ability to concentrate makes blogging too difficult. Supporters have sent digital photos of themselves wearing the Choose Joy bracelets, but the most touching ones show the bracelets stuck on inanimate objects, hugging a reusable shopping bag that looks like a ladybug, draped around a spaceman doll, a Snoopy stuffed animal, a toy dinosaur, resting where a Russian nesting doll's ankles would be, perched on beach rocks, hanging over the propeller of a whimsical hat. The cancer had spread to his liver and lymph nodes before doctors even knew it was there, and though it's possible he could have survived it if it had been detected sooner, he was given 6 months to live in 2008 after almost a year living with a different diagnosis. One doctor estimated his cancer would kill him by August of that year, and though Jamison has conceded the cancer battle, he continues his public struggle to choose joy even as the physical and psychological pain of dying increases. When asked how he was going to die, he said one of two ways: his liver will fail, and he will slip into a coma and die once all his other organs give out, or the cancer will return to his colon, blocking nutrient absorption. Either way, starvation will be the cause of death, he says. His relative longevity has stumped his doctors, though he said weighing about 400 pounds makes his body able to tolerate higher doses of chemotherapy than the average person. By his own observation, some people seem annoyed that he has yet to die. Why am I still here? Perhaps no one is more annoyed than Jamison. For once in my life I'm suicidal with good reason, says Jamison, who until about 6 years ago thought he was depressed, but discovered he was suffering from anxiety. Kristen is tired. What a horrible life to live. I don't know how she still loves me, he says. Out of financial resources, and with no hope the cancer will recede, he is no longer fighting it. But he wonders why he is still around. His blog, JudasForgiven.com, is one way of coping. His audience praises him for his candor, but he and Kristen, 30, say people would be surprised how much is not on there. The fight to choose joy is central to their daily life, and he feels some obligation to be positive as much as possible with his online persona. Kristen Jamison is a little feistier than her husband in expressing her frustration with judgmental reactions. It's almost like he can't have a bad day, she says. Hearing wayward reactions is one of the trade-offs for including the public in their private struggle. When he decided to sell advertising space on his earns, a story that was told in the Register Guard last year, and a move that attracted calls from reporters worldwide, the idea was he would die shortly. One of his advertisers accused him of faking the cancer, something that made the Jamisons furious. Sometimes Jamison's blog entries are not exactly cheerful, but he usually offers a warning, such as with this March 30, 2010 entry titled, "The One You Should Probably Ignore and Not Read," which expresses some anger. "I have slept, cried, vomited, screamed and hit myself literally about the head," he wrote. "I'm angry because I'm sitting here alone on the couch crying. Why? because every time I try to lay down next to my beautiful sweet wife I began bawling like a kindergartner who just had the paste stolen right out of his mouth. The attempts at humor are ever present. At least there are no photos of me beating up a baby kangaroo, yet, he wrote. A public journey. For Jamison, raised the son of a Baptist pastor, the idea of choosing joy predated his illness. He has been dealt his share of pain since he was a child, bullied for his weight and suffering from a paralyzing fear of failure. As an adult he was mindful of a family history of alcohol addiction, but instead fell into the clutches of food addiction, he says. I think he has always been kind of an encourager, his father, Ray Jamison, says during his final visit with his son, noting that many of Aaron's tormentors sought his counsel when they were having a rough day. And he's used drama in many forms. No matter what he did, his mother, Jan Jamison, adds, there was always humor in it. His parents moved to New York last year, to be closer to a family member who could look after them in old age. Aaron is their only child and he insisted they make the move, to give him peace of mind, that they would be cared for after he died. Partly because of financial hardships related to their son's health, they cannot afford to return to Oregon for his memorial. His father is 72 and his mother is 62, and though today's technology was not around to help them cope with problems when they were his age, the choose joy idea was. It is an idea found in the Bible in the Epistle of James. Consider it all a joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the test of your faith produces endurance. As Christians the spiritual side is resolved, but his parents think his blog is a positive thing on the human level. His mother has her own blog too. It's been a very public journey, Jan Jamison says. But that is the only way I would have survived. The musician, actor and comedian continues to rely on God's plan, and has rejected overtures for alternative healing. At least one person a week has emailed him to suggest an all-asparagus diet as a path to health, he says. He uses medical marijuana, and says it has helped him. Acupuncture has been covered by health insurance, and soothed his nausea, Jamison adds. Having outlived his prognosis, he has sold more and more of his belongings to cover basic expenses. I'm literally a guy who sold his Xbox video game console to pay for his drugs, Jamison says with a resigned laugh. Hospice care started in February, and he has decided to stop sharing his projected death dates because of some of the reactions he's gotten. Friends have told him they've pulled back because the pain of knowing he is a dead man walking is too much. The diagnosis. He didn't always want to live, and in fact, says he was suicidal most of his adult life, until 2006, when he found an anxiety drug that turned everything around within a week. Soon after that, he met Kristen, the tattooed Baptist girl he had jokingly envisioned as being the only woman for him, and life was better than it ever had been. Then, suddenly, at age 35, he was making frequent emergency room visits. Weight and diet are risk factors for colon cancer, but doctors initially looked past that possibility, because such a tiny fraction of colon cancer patients are in his age group, Jamison says. He was misdiagnosed with gastric diverticulitis. Then, the day before his scheduled surgery, a doctor insisted on a colonoscopy. The colonoscopy didn't get far once the roadblock of a grapefruit-sized tumor presented itself. He kept the date with the surgeon, and the tumor, along with 18 inches of his colon, was removed. A number of tumors were also found on his liver and lymph nodes. Cord scans had missed them, because of his obesity, Jamison says. He has dealt with people's judgment about his weight since he was a child, he and his parents say, but now that the pain medications and cancer have combined to take away his physical stamina, he cannot walk for very long. The whip-smart wit he was known for in his improvisational days at Eugene's Comedy Sports Theater has slowed. He needs assistance to get out of chairs. He walks with a cane, and uses a wheelchair when the cane is not enough. His last blog entry was a month ago, but he still updates followers on Facebook. During an interview, a hospice nurse named Ann visits their home to administer pain medications through a surgically implanted portal that sends pain relief straight to Jamison's heart. She's asking me a lot of questions that involve my memory, he tells the nurse, referring to the reporter in the room. Well, we all know that is toast, says the nurse, apparently sharing his attitude of making light of a dark situation. When he makes it to the grocery store these days, he uses an electronic card and the stares of disapproval have increased, he says. Jamison figures people think it's just his weight making him use that card. He likes to make eye contact with them, and give a little kissy face. One more way to handle the pain. Getting tattoos is another tactic he has found to cope with the pain. This was not recommended by his doctors, but friends at the Crybaby Ink tattoo shop at Valley River Center give him as much as he can handle, taking his word that swapping pain sources is good for him. If only they could switch. Not surprisingly, choosing joy was the theme to his American Cancer Society Relay for Life team in July. Jamison took the survivor's lap in his wheelchair, flanked by his parents, wife, friends and other supporters. His parents planned their final trip with him to coincide with the relay, around the time the final Harry Potter movie hit theaters. Because of Jamison's lack of mobility, they decide to watch all 17+ hours, straight through, that comprise the first 7 films in the series, based on J.K. Rowling's books. Watching the second film in the series, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Jamison is propped up in his in-home hospital bed when he notices his mother fiddling around with the pillows behind his father on the couch. "Are you comfortable, Dad?" Jamison says. "Do you want to switch places?" Ray Jamison pauses for a moment, then says, "I would if I could, son. I would if I could. It's been a very public journey. But that is the only way I would have survived." Jan Jamison, Aaron Jamison's mother,